Wearing the Faso Danfani is an economic, cultural, and political act of defiance against imperialism. Hey guys! Welcome to all of you who are new here, and welcome back to my returning subscribers. I'm always grateful for having you here week after week with me. I am Iman, and today the topic of the video is some African fabrics, traditional African fabrics. The first reason is that I always talk about the fact that Ankara is actually not an African fabric. It's not a traditional African fabric. It's actually coming from Indonesia originally. And second is the whole situation that's been happening with Louis Vuitton releasing some Kente inspired pieces with the Louis Vuitton logo on there. I talked about it on Instagram. You can check. I discussed with my audience whether they considered it cultural appropriation or not. Some people thought it was cultural appropriation. Some people thought it was not because Virgil Abloh is Ghanaian. Personally, I was more it's cultural appropriation because we're talking about a French brand at the end of the day using the Kente inspiration, stamping their logo on it, and I don't really see any information really about the origin and valorizing the Kente. So that's really where I'm coming from. And in my story I also mentioned that I think a few years back Dior had a similar use of a traditional African fabric, but what they did is that they really did a collaboration. I remember they came here in Abidjan. They talked with Pateo, which is one of the greatest designers around here. He's like so famous. He used to dress Nelson Mandela, etc. So they came here, they tried to really learn about the fabric, they collaborated, and they really put forward what the origin of the fabric was. I feel like with Louis Vuitton, we're not really in that. Although, yes, I understand Virgil Abloh is from Ghana, but we'll see right now that actually Kente is not just for Ghana. So maybe you'll understand why I felt a little offended with it. So what is Kente? Kente is a type of fabric that is hand woven with silk and cotton. It's mostly worn in Ghana by the Akom people, but I also read that it was also worn by the Ewe people. And the reason why I was saying maybe I'm a little offended by this whole situation is that actually it's not just in Ghana that they wear Kente, because here in Côte d'Ivoire we do have Akom people. I myself am one of them. So it's not only part of the Ghanaian history, it's also part of the Ivorian history and the Ivorian culture and heritage. And it's actually, Kente is usually worn as a toga by like royalty, and it's also very often used in weddings, in traditional weddings. So both the groom and the bride will wear that. And actually nowadays, if you go on Instagram, you'll see I follow a lot of pages around weddings, African weddings. I really enjoy that. More and more you'll see brides really using Kente, but to make very nice and modern wedding dresses, not just wearing it as a toga on them, really making beautiful dresses. And a lot of brands in Ghana, more so than here in Côte d'Ivoire, make these beautiful pieces. So let's start our little trip through traditional African fabrics. Of course, again, these are not all the fabrics, but it will be too long of a video. I will do a part 2, and actually do not hesitate to put in the comment if there are other fabrics from your country, from your region. Always very exciting. We are here to share. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have my notes, because I'm not trying to lie on anything. I did research, so some fabrics I do know because they are famous or because they are from my region. Others I didn't know about, so it's always great to have to do your research. And I'll put the links to wherever I found the information in the description box if you are interested. The first fabric, I'm sure you know, is BOGOLAN, and actually it's either BOGOLAN or BOGOLAN Fini, which literally means in Bambara mud cloth, because BOGOLAN is a fabric where it is dyed using mud, basically. What I like about BOGOLAN is really the neutral colors, strong colors, and then the geometric fabrics. So BOGOLAN may be sometimes a little thick to some people, so not very easy to use as styling fabric to make clothes, but I know it's used a lot in interior design. In accessories, actually, I own a very nice BOGOLAN scarf that I was wearing all the time in Paris. I'll put a picture if I find it. I remember a look I made that was all black with my nice BOGOLAN scarf. Very, very pretty. And also I know that in the past 5 years or so, there are a lot of brands that have been using BOGOLAN, but kind of modernizing it, using it, the BOGOLAN print on silk, so making it a lot softer to make different types of clothing piece. So BOGOLAN is really, really a very pretty type of fabric and versatile, because you have the very traditional one and now you have the more modern one, so that can be used in different type of clothing. The next one is Faso Danfani, so from Burkina Faso. It is a woven type of fabric, and the name itself literally means hand-woven cloth of the country. So it's actually a fabric that has a heavy historic symbol for that country, especially because around the time of Thomas Sankara, they really tried putting forward this fabric, the national fabric, trying to have everybody really wearing it and being proud of their country and really raising the bar for a fabric that was made locally. So it's a huge symbol in Burkina. It's super pretty, and nowadays you see more and more brands using it in their more modern clothes. And actually one of the pieces you'll see here is Beyonce in the brand Peul Vagabond. So I showed that look. So yeah, Peul Vagabond made a whole collection in Faso Danfani, just to show you that it's a local and a historic fabric from Burkina Faso, but it is used in modern day, worn all the way into the US by one of your faves, Beyonce, of course. So yeah, Faso Danfani is a very nice one, and I know also Eliquam, so Ivorian designer, uses a lot of Faso Danfani in his collection. So I have here a quote, an actual quote of Thomas Sankara regarding the Faso Danfani, just to show you how important it was, and it still is to this day for the country. So it's in French in my notes, but I'm going to translate it. It says, wearing the Faso Danfani is an economic, cultural, and political act of defiance against imperialism. Very, very deep. So again, in the same way we all know Thomas Sankara was a huge advocate, anti-colonization, anti-imperialism. He really wanted us Africans to rise and to have strong countries, and this definitely is also to show you that fashion is a huge part of culture, of economy in a country, especially here in Africa. So now on to Nigeria with ADIRE. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this could be considered ADIRE, because ADIRE is actually a dyed cotton fabric, a tie, and literally from what I've seen, ADIRE means in Yoruba tie and dye. So a dyed cotton fabric, pretty much. Actually, lately I've been seeing a whole lot of brands making ADIRE clothes. So again, in Nigeria, in all of my research, and I really, really love it. So they have the ADIRE like this that'll be in more cotton, but they also have the silk ADIRE, and I'm sure the silk ADIRE you have seen everywhere. And what I was talking about regarding this fabric, because I think it looks like ADIRE, and I actually saw a brand, which is a brand I ordered from, who had clothing with ADIRE that looks exactly like this. And although this is not from Nigeria, and they had so many vibrant colors. They had like yellow, orange, they had blue, they had green, so beautiful. And I really like how versatile it is, because you have the very colorful ADIRE like this, but you have the more traditional in the blue indigo kind of colors. And again, they've been using it both traditionally for gatherings, etc., but more and more for modern clothing, nice dresses, jumpsuits, etc. I've been loving ADIRE, and as I was saying, I found a brand, and you can be sure I bought something from them, and I'm just waiting for my order to arrive. Next up, we're back in Côte d'Ivoire with the Boule fabric, the Boule Cloth. Again, the Boule Cloth, because the Boule people are also part of the Akam people, it can be very, very similar to the Kente. Sometimes I confuse them because they're very similar, but I think the Boule Cloth is maybe is less colorful. It's still a woven type of material. It's used a whole lot here for weddings. That's where I've seen it mostly. I think there are some brands that start using it here and there on their clothing, but just like somebody will make a dress and have part of it, part of the fabric attached to a part of the dress, for example. But I think we have a lot to do trying to develop this, like they did in Burkina with their Faso Danfani. Why not having brands, Ivorian brands, making whole collections in the Boule Cloth? Because it's part of our culture, it's part of our heritage. We have to really stop thinking that African fabrics just stay in the traditional outfits and can be worn every day. Although I know here sometimes when people work in like big companies and all of that, they feel like in the dress code they cannot wear more traditional fabrics. It's not really seen well, which is crazy to me because it's literally our country, but whatever. So I really think, but again, that may be part of the whole political, cultural, and economic kind of Cold War that's happening around Africa, really. Next up, we're in the DRC with a fabric called the Kuba Fabric, and from what I've seen, it's woven in raffia, so must be something very a little thicker of fabric. And to me, when I looked at it, because I didn't know it prior to doing my research, I think it is very, very similar to the BOGOLAN, not only in the colors but also in the type of geometry style it's using. Like, it's very geometric, and the colors also a lot of browns, black and beige, so earthy tones. I feel it's very similar, but it's from the DRC, so Central Africa, African fabric. When doing my research, I did not find a lot of more modern designs using this fabric, so DRC, that may be your chance to develop your fabric into everyday outfits. I would love an outfit using this fabric. It's very cute, and I always like, again, I think this video shows it, I always like seeing African fabrics being both used traditionally and also in everyday life, because we are less and less inclined to wearing the very traditional outfits because we feel it's not practical. So let's use these fabrics and make everyday wear. Why not? The next one, I think this one is kind of one of my faves. It's BAZIN, again from Mali. Ooh, BAZIN is so beautiful, and they don't call it BAZIN riche for nothing. Like, this fabric gives me rich auntie vibes. Like, this fabric, you see it, I'm sure if you've been to a Malian wedding, even an Ivorian wedding, Senegalese wedding, Kenyan wedding, people will be wearing their best BAZIN. It's so beautiful. It's like shiny, colorful. It's such a rich fabric. I love it. Bazin actually is a cotton fabric usually, and what makes it its richness is the dyeing process. It's just so pretty. I saw that on TV a few years back in a documentary, just like gorgeous. And I think you can even tailor the type of dyeing they use and the type of colors you want. And I know I wore Bazin for a wedding when I went to Guinea. It can be very hot, but I feel like this is where being fashionable, you don't care about it being hot because you're super hot under there. And I think more and more people are also using Bazin in more everyday wear. Definitely, I'm here for it. Bazin is so pretty, but that's just the thing, because they don't make so many everyday wear with Bazin. You're always very careful about, I'm not going to dress like I'm going to a wedding type of thing, just so you can sport your cute Bazin. Just, I think it's really my favorite out of all of the ones in my list today. Maybe not my, is it my favorite, or it's at least top 2? It definitely is. I think it's top 2 with Kente. These two are just like the best to me. Top 3, Kente, ADIRE, and Bazin. Yes. Okay. The next one is called the Lapi, and the Lapi is from Guinea. Actually, I think from what I had heard when I went to Guinea is more of the Fulani fabric in Guinea. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard. And actually, Lapi is usually blue. It's indigo. They call it actually Lapi indigo Lapi, because it's one of the only fabrics that's dyed, but they can only dye it one color, which is indigo blue. So you have multiple hues of blue, but your base color is always blue in Lapi. Lapi is a base, again, of cotton that is dyed. And to me, when I look at Lapi, I feel like it's a good mix of ADIRE and Bazin. That's just how I feel. And it has a lighter texture, I think, than Bazin. And it's so pretty. Like, I saw it used in weddings, but I think more and more, again, people use it in more everyday outfits, and I really like it. I feel like Lapi will go so well with denim for some reason. I would definitely think a cute Lapi shirt with jeans, that can be a fire look. Fire. Let me call up my people in Guinea and try to get me some Lapi here. I'm going to make me a shirt. Lapi is very nice too. I think it's not as well known as Bazin, for example, but I don't know why, because it's very cute too. The next one is actually Ethiopian, so it's called the Gabi. So from what I read, because the Gabi, I had seen it, but I didn't know the name. So from what I've read, the Gabi actually is 4-layer fabric, and you have something else that's called the Netela, that's 2 layers. But they look very similar, it's just the number of layers that's different. So this fabric, I'm sure you've seen, if you've seen any Ethiopian weddings, really beautiful, by the way. Ethiopian weddings always look like a lot of fun, and they are so well dressed, and the hair, Ethiopia, I can't believe I was supposed to go to Ethiopia this year. It was cancelled, but I would love to go. Such a rich in history and culture, such a rich country. I really want to go. I hope they will reschedule that trip. Anyway, so yeah, I'm sure you've seen it in weddings. Compared to the other fabrics, I feel like this is more of a sacred type of fabric, and I don't know, Ethiopian people don't want to use that very traditional fabric to make more modern clothing, but what I've seen is that a lot of people do use that as a scarf, which can be cute. A scarf is always a good accessory and a good way to change up your look and to highlight your look, and it's very pretty. But the only thing I have, because it's mostly white, somebody like me will mess it up. That's why I don't wear a lot of black and a lot of white. Sorry. Oh, I actually love wearing black. That's why I wear a lot of black and I don't wear a lot of white, because I always end up messing up something, especially if it's food involved. All bets are off, and it will be stains everywhere. So very cute fabric, but I do think they make it in colors. I'm going to look into it, and definitely I want to go to Ethiopia. Next we have the Manjack. Now the Manjack, I knew that fabric like from sight, but I didn't know the name, and I always thought it was a Senegalese fabric. But when I did my research, actually what came up is that the Manjack fabric comes from the Manjack people, who are mostly located in Guinea-Bissau, then Senegal, and then Cabo Verde, I don't know how you say in English, which one is it? I think it's Cabo Verde. So it's mostly known from Senegalese culture, I guess, because around here we know more about Senegal than Guinea-Bissau and Cabo Verde. But Manjack, such a beautiful fabric too. Same again, the technique is hand woven cotton, but you also have a lot of threads that are like gold and very kind of shiny threads. It's so beautiful. Gives me again a lot of luxurious kind of like bazin, etc. It's very pretty. One very interesting fact I read about Manjack, I don't know if that's true, if somebody knows, let me know in the comments, is that it can only be woven by men. I'm sure there's a traditional explanation to this, but I thought it was worth mentioning. So Manjack apparently can only be woven by men, so no female involved in this. That's interesting. Maybe actually that's the same for a lot of these other fabrics. It just did not come up in my research, but that's a very interesting fact, and I thought that was worth mentioning. The next one is the Maasai Shoka. So this I actually saw it in various fashion shows, actually Western fashion shows, kind of like the same story with the Kente, but it gives very much Scottish tartan vibes. I think it's very similar colors, the reds, the blues, the greens, and even the construction very squarish. I don't know if it has something to do with colonization or not at all. It's just that humans will be humans no matter where they are in the world and no matter their colors. But I think this is such a pretty fabric, and y'all know I want to go to Zanzibar, and I have seen a lot of Zanzibar people wearing this because I guess there are Maasais in Zanzibar. I don't think that's their native land, but I think they are there maybe for tourism, I don't know. But yeah, this type of fabric is very nice. So like tartan, it's a cotton plaid type of fabric, and again, because it's from the Maasai people, it's not just in Kenya, it's actually also in Tanzania, Zanzibar. And yes, it's been used a lot in fashion, and I think from what I just saw that Louis Vuitton actually used it in the past, so they like using African fabrics, I see. Last one is one that compared to all the other ones, I don't know, and I don't think I could use it here because it's super thick and heavy. It's called the Basotto Blanket, and it's from Lesotho, and actually I think also part of South Africa. So from my research, what I've seen is that these blankets actually have very deep significance in Lesotho for the people there, because actually there are drawings and they symbolize different things. So I read that some of them are more about fertility, some of them are more about strength, etc. So that's great that you can have like real symbols and wear your symbols every day with your blankets. And these blankets actually, from what I've seen also, they were seen in Wakanda, in Black Panther, in some of the Wakanda people. So yes, it's definitely pretty, very vibrant colors again, but I wouldn't be able to wear this here in Abidjan because it's a very thick blanket, so it's more kind of outerwear use. If I was in France, I would definitely rock that. So we are at the end of this video. We've seen in total actually 11 Kente plus 10 types of traditional African fabrics, how they're used, and both traditionally and in modern clothing, because I really believe this is the future and this is actually a necessity for us, for our culture and our economies, to really use and promote African fabrics. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. I know there are a lot more fabrics out there. I found a lot more, but it would be too long to have them in only one video, so I would definitely do a part 2 of this video because I think it's very interesting. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, leaving nice comments, leaving thumbs up. All that helps a lot, and I see it. I promise, I really do see it, and it really warms my heart. I wish you a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.